As the war in Ukraine enters its 11th month, the forces opposing the Russian military continue to succeed where the Pentagon has failed. The Defense Department strives for scale, security, and bandwidth, far exceeding Ukraine's goals. To be honest, the United States has spent decades and billions of dollars developing its fighters, intelligence, and weapons, while other countries are developing them faster, cheaper, and with far less waste. Are there lessons the United States and the West can learn from Ukraine's capacity to create a virtual command and control system? Well, friends, this is the question we will answer in this video. Stay tuned. Digital transformation in Ukraine. Before, between, and afterwards. Ukraine's digital transition began long before Russia's full-scale invasion. Ukraine's Ministry of Digital Transformation, led by Mikhailo Fedorov, was established in 2019 to carry President Zelensky's state and smartphone proposal. The ministry's goal is to create the most comfortable digital state in the world, one that is entirely paperless, bureaucracy-free, and requires no travel to official locations. The central notion is that the government should function similarly to Uber, Booking, or Airbnb, quickly and with a few clicks. With its technologically networked fighters, intelligence, and weapons, Ukraine has accomplished what the Pentagon has spent decades and billions of dollars trying to do. Despite being outnumbered and outgunned, Kiev's forces have been able to outmaneuver Russia's enormous but clumsy armies due to an improvised network of drones, fighters, and weapons connected by satellite communications and specialized software. Ukraine's collection of systems, primarily made up of commercially available hardware, is still a far cry from the sprawling and highly ambitious digitization effort of the U.S. military, which goes by names like network-centric warfare and has grown and expanded with technological advancements. The network scope, security, and bandwidth goals of the Defense Department considerably outpace those of Ukraine. However, veterans of U.S. and allied digitization initiatives claim that Ukraine's success in quickly putting together a virtual command and control system can teach the West essential lessons, particularly regarding the need for experimentation and the inclusion of non-military professionals. The lesson is you've got to innovate, and we don't, expressed Glenn Grant, a former British lieutenant colonel experienced in military digitization, which has worked with U.S. forces in Ukraine since 2014 on defense reform. He continued by saying that Western bureaucratic forces are too slow and too heavy to implement innovative technological solutions to operational issues quickly. The tech-savvy people of Ukraine have modernized guerrilla warfare strategies for the internet era. Throughout history, insurgencies have turned available items into weapons, including Molotov cocktails and bamboo spikes. The motivated individuals in Ukraine, home to a growing tech outsourcing industry and lawless hackers, are frequently software engineers who connect through online services like the encrypted messenger signal and networks from businesses like Elon Musk's SpaceX. Additionally, these technologies have evolved into consumer drones, 3D printers, and mobile apps. The enemy has been preparing for full-fledged technology war for 20 years. We made a technological leap in 10 months, Ukrainian Minister of Digital Transformation Mikhailo Fedorov said on Twitter last week. Some examples of technological devices. Units are adapting commercially available drones with slings that may be remotely released to dump grenades on hostile positions. To automate payroll on the front lines, volunteer soldiers utilize their commercial sector skills to create enterprise resource management software for global corporations. One Ukrainian business manufactures electric cars that may be loaded with heavy machine guns or remotely controlled cargo. Furthermore, Ukrainian programmers have modified a military system known as Delta to provide local commanders with real-time battlefield intelligence obtained from drones and spotters residing in Ukrainian territory currently under Russian occupation. It's called Connected War, and the Ukrainian army will be the most advanced ever because of live experience, said Roman Perimov, the commander of a new military technology development unit within a Ukrainian army brigade. To keep soldiers online during combat, his team manufactures low-cost, high-capacity battery units and improvised drone jammer gear. You can have 500 drones in the sky for a relatively standard military action, he said. This has never been seen before. One of the leading innovation areas to arise from this battle is the development of inexpensive drones and drone defense. Ukrainian and Russian soldiers frequently employ modified versions of small commercial drones for surveillance and strikes. According to Mr. Perimov, Ukrainian forces have been utilizing 3D printers to create little plastic harnesses that attach to well-known commercial drones, so they may be equipped with explosives. The mechanical clasps on the harnesses are connected to low-cost light sensors. The sensors detect the light when the drone's operator commands it to flash lights on its belly, which causes the clasp to release a strap holding a grenade. According to Mr. Perimov, a 3D printed harness will run you between $10 and $15. Mr. Perimov, whose organization is also investigating the use of stratospheric commercial balloons that could do surveillance or relay communications across large battlefield areas, said, "It doesn't do much harm, but it could destroy a vehicle or a couple of troopers." Secret of success. One aspect of Ukraine's innovation success is how various military units and Ukrainian tech companies are developing their own brand new military technologies, using a bottom-up strategy that occasionally resembles a series of Silicon Valley garages more so than a Pentagon-funded effort. A Ukrainian military contractor who also develops remote-controlled machine guns is behind one project involving armed electric ground vehicles that can be commanded remotely. Recently, the business has been showing off the technology, but the founder chose not to comment. After onboarding many new soldiers, one military unit started working on resource management software to simplify payroll. Ukraine's vast technology outsourcing industry initially employed programmers to create such systems for private businesses, but they now work on an open-source system to automate payroll. According to those working on the project, further software modules are now being developed to tackle topics like equipment storage. Ukraine has also experienced some centralized innovation. According to Yaroslav Honchar, a co-founder of Aerorozvidka, a non-governmental organization providing the Ukrainian army with surveillance drones since 2014, its defense ministry and security services dusted off a battlefield awareness platform that they had built to North Atlantic Treaty Organization standards but largely abandoned. Through chatbots with names like Stop Russian War, Ukrainians can offer tips, and Ukraine used the system to compile data from satellites and drones. According to Mr. Honchar, almost all units that took part in the battle for Kyiv in the spring of last year used Delta, which can access laptops or tablets. The best students, he continued, are those who are being shelled. Outcomes of being digital. According to Western defense experts familiar with Ukraine's systems, the outcome is a cheap, improvised approximation of the enormous efforts that the Defense Department and other Western militaries have been working on for years, a secure digital matrix linking commanders, fighters, weapons, and intelligence. The United States' objectives for networked warfare have widened to encompass a variety of services, weaponry, and intelligence organizations while also attempting to stay up with technological developments. Zelensky, right man behind it. Zelensky was the right man at the right time to lead during a crisis, as has frequently happened throughout history. In the same way that Franklin D. Roosevelt's fireside chats and Winston Churchill's radio addresses were iconic and significant during World War II, Zelensky's spontaneous social media communication and its success will be remembered for centuries. Zelensky and former U.S. President Ronald Reagan, who developed his reputation as the great communicator in the entertainment sector, share another notable similarity that observers have noted. Reagan called the Soviet Union an evil empire, and Zelensky called Russia a danger to democracy. Both men used the power of storytelling to present a clear picture of their enemies. Zelensky was also opportunistic in using various forms to increase his exposure and gain access to key audiences. He made persistent video appeals to various businesses by utilizing technology to reach directly to viewers. These included, among many others, the British Parliament and the U.S. Congress in just the first few weeks of the conflict. These talks were explicitly chosen to represent the audience's values, goals, and culture. Zelensky brought up painful incidents like Pearl Harbor and the September 11 attacks on the U.S. Congress. He even virtually spoke at the Grammy Awards ceremony, a unique and potent setting for making a political statement. In his remarks, he compared art's beauty and culturally enriching characteristics with the degrading effects of war. Russia's achievement, which most observers expected to occur soon, could be delayed, giving Ukraine a chance to impose costs on Russia's military and economy, while diminishing Russia's standing as a major world force. The fact that Ukraine and Zelensky have reached this point 6 months into the conflict and still fighting is a function of their effective use of digital tools in the information environment from the beginning of the war to shape the battlefield. As the conflict continues, it will become more and more difficult for them to maintain attention share from the international community.